Coming up on Mountain News this morning, first responders and community members gather to honor the life of a Virginia police officer. And a Kentucky university kicks off an annual blood drive in order to help stock up supplies just ahead of the holidays.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
All right, it's just before 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Good morning to you. I'm Dakota Makeris. Thanks for waking up with us as always. Let's head over to Cameron this morning, filling in for B-Rob. Cameron, just a little cold this morning.
Yeah, I brought the cool temperatures with me.
Can you make it warm up?
Yeah. You are going to need the coat as you walk out the door this morning, but thankfully we are nice and dry out there. Let's take a look at our Pikeville camera over at US 119, US 23. Not much happening out there as we stay dry under a mostly clear sky this morning, and that will continue to be the case as we go throughout the rest of your day. Those temperatures, like Dakota and I were talking about, upper 20s in spots, lower 30s in others, 30 in Harlan, 27 over in Jonesville, 32 for London, and 42 over in Jackson. And we are dry right now up on satellite and radar as you walk out the door, not looking at anything in the way of rainfall or cloud cover really, and that's all thanks to this high pressure over portions of Virginia and West Virginia, and that will continue to dominate our weather today and into tomorrow. But some changes are on the way. I got that full forecast for you coming up a little bit later. Dakota.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Officer Michael Chandler of the Big Stone Gap, Virginia Police Department is home again after he was killed in the line of duty Saturday. The procession traveled from Roanoke, Virginia to Big Stone Gap, where many in the community gathered to grieve and remember his sacrifice. Our Zach Hawk was there to learn more about who Officer Chandler was.
He was just such a good guy.
This is how the friends and colleagues of Officer Michael Chandler describe him.
He's just one of the nicest guys that you could ever meet, and someone that did not deserve something like this.
Fellow officers remember Chandler for his deep commitment to his community.
He served his community not only as a police officer but as a firefighter as well. Served with him there for about 6 years, and he's going to be missed by a lot.
Officer Chandler's escort had nearly 200 first responder vehicles at one point. That much support was not a surprise to those who knew him.
A young man who was just trying to make a life for himself and his family, and he just one of the sweetest people you could meet. Just a tragedy that he had to go this way.
Chandler was also balancing a new marriage, a young child, and family responsibilities. Priorities that even his bosses knew he was managing well.
It takes a real special man to be able to handle all of those, juggle all those balls in the air and still be a damn good cop, a damn good fireman.
And Chandler will be missed by the many people he impacted.
You won't find anybody in this community that'd say a bad word about Michael Chandler. He was the real deal.
In Big Stone Gap, Zach Hawk, WYMT Mountain News.
Officer Chandler's cruiser is parked in Miners Park in Big Stone Gap as a memorial to his lifetime of service. The visitation will be held for the officer from 3 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, November 17th, followed by his funeral at the David J. Pryor Convention Center on the UAV-WYS campus. A procession will carry his body to the cemetery on Thursday morning. Chandler died on his 29th birthday. A suspect in the shooting is being held on other charges. Hazard police are asking for your help in what they are calling a hit and run and death investigation. It happened Friday night in front of the Double Quick on Highway 15. Officers found a man severely injured and needing to be taken to the hospital. Police gathered evidence from the scene, including a driver's side mirror that they believe came off the car involved in the incident. Police are also looking through surveillance video. The victim later died and his name has not been released. Anyone with information is asked to call Hazard Police. Well, we have an update on an Amber Alert involving a Kentucky teenager. Police now believe 16-year-old Amber Claire from Beaver Dam, Kentucky, may be in northern Michigan. Police say she was kidnapped by her uncle, Jacob Claire. He also took his 3-year-old son, Noah, with them. Michigan State Police say they may be in the Harbor Springs area. Kentucky Search Warrant Task Force met in Frankfort yesterday. Attorney General Daniel Cameron formed the group back in January in response to the death of Breonna Taylor. The goal was to review Kentucky's warrant process completely. We have not been told specifics about what was discussed. The Kentucky School Boards Association is cutting ties with its national affiliate due to a letter The Lexington Herald reports the national group wrote to the White House calling some of the behavior seen during parent protest acts of domestic terrorism. The group apologized for the language, but Kentucky still voted to withdraw its membership. Leaders say the letter was just another example of a, quote, pattern of dysfunction within the National School Boards Association, end quote. Monday, Kentucky lawmakers discussed a proposed name, image, and likeness bill. Athletic leaders from 3 Kentucky universities all gave their input on how it would be worked. Right now, the NCAA's rules on NIL are allowed in Kentucky under an executive order. Proposed legislation will go before the General Assembly in February. Victor Puente has the latest on that discussion.
When it comes to the drafted NIL legislation, officials with UK and U of L said they had 3 main goals.
Number 1, students can earn these things. Number 2, that we can impose reasonable conditions. There will be some debate over what reasonable conditions are, and that may someday be a matter for the court. And number 3, that we insulate and protect the universities as we already do against lawsuits through the form of immunity.
Student athletes across the state are already earning money, but the current rules are because of an executive order. The proposed legislation lifts many of the definitions that are already present in that order.
It requires that the compensation be equal to market value, and it carves out some common sense definition. It eliminates scholarships from the definition of compensation.
It also limits what those athletes can be associated with.
Anything related to alcohol, tobacco, sex-related, gambling, advertisements. So some of those things, it was pretty low-hanging fruit. We were able to pretty quickly gather consensus as a group.
UK's Executive Associate Athletics Director said their athletes have already entered into almost 500 transactions since the rules went into effect this summer.
And I'm very pleased to report that football and men's basketball are the first and second most transactions at Kentucky. But coming in third is our national champion volleyball team with those young ladies, those student athletes. Fourth is one that might surprise you at Kentucky. It's our women's track team. But that's because we have an international TikTok star on our women's track team that has about 500,000 followers.
We've already seen things that we never anticipated, and we've had to adapt to that. And I suspect in the months to come, we will continue to see things that we hadn't thought about.
That was Victor Puente reporting. Those officials said making sure student athletes receive training and business practices will also be an important part of moving forward with NIL. State Representative Derek Lewis was recently chosen to serve as an opioid policy fellow for the National Conference of State Legislatures. Now, he will be one of 20 state lawmakers working to combat opioid addiction and overdoses across the United States. Lewis is a Republican from Laurel County and has worked on opioid-related legislation in Frankfort. Yesterday, UK kicked off the 34th Big Blue Crush blood drive against Tennessee. 2 nonprofits first organized in the event in 1987 to boost blood supplies ahead of the holidays. Now they are dealing with shortages because of the pandemic. You can donate at any Kentucky Blood Center location or one of KBC's mobile blood drives through Friday.
Whatever your blood type is, it's important to donate. I would tell you we don't have a robust supply of any blood type on the shelves these days, and so it's really important for everyone to come out.
Cats fans have come out on top 2 years in a row. Staff at a daycare center in Perry County are working to lessen an ongoing problem due to the lack of child care options in eastern Kentucky. Parents often choose to stay home because they have nowhere to send their children. Staff at the New Beginnings Daycare Center say they understand the frustration but encourage patience, saying the pandemic has caused challenges for everyone.
It's hard finding child care when the child care is closed. If we're closed, even if my baby's in the nursery, if the nursery's closed down, I don't have child care outside of here, so I have to miss work. I know it's frustrating and I know it's hard, but we're all trying to just stick together.
Well, staff members are working to bounce back following the pandemic.
Well, it's a nice and chilly start to your day across the mountains for your Tuesday. Let's jump back to that I-75 camera over in Mount Vernon. Traffic running smoothly down there, not much happening out there as we are dry under that mostly clear sky. But it is a chilly morning out there, 30 in Harlan, 39 for Hazard and Pikeville, 40 for Prestonsburg, and 42 over in Jackson. But like I mentioned, we are dry under that partly cloudy sky. Up on Pinpoint Doppler, not much happening out there, a clean sweep, and that will continue to be the case as we go throughout the rest of your morning and into the afternoon as well. A really nice day on tap for us here across the mountains. We stay dry under a nice mix of sun and clouds, and check that out. Those high temperatures today topping out in the low to middle 60s and even upper 60s to lower 70s possible by Wednesday. But some changes are on the way by the end of your work week. I got that full forecast for you a little bit later, Dakota.
All right, Cameron, thank you so much, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. When we return, there might not be a Thanksgiving break for some U.S. politicians as the push to pass a major bill continues.